Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. So we're continuing with the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Oh, chapter 10, I think, isn't it? Chapter 10. So wanted to seek your good wishes. And is it chapter 10? Chapter 11. Good wishes so that we can continue with the Bhagavatam. Yes, chapter 10. Very good. So Shavi is going to be reading. Can't hear you. Or is it me? Can anybody hear Shavi?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Maybe it's your side, Bimal or Punamataji. You can just maybe come out and join again. Huh? So, Ananda Leela, would you like to start?
Yes, Prabhu.
And Kaushali Mataji, you can read whilst Shavi is not there. Huh?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And pranam to all devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhara Shirvasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sonaka Uvacha Hadva Swarikta Spridha Tataino Yudhishthiro Dharma Pritam Varishtaha Sahanujay Pratya Varudha Bhojana Katham Pravatah Kim Akarasit Tataha.
Translation. Sanaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaja Yudhishthira, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness.
Sutta Uvacha Vamsam Kururvam Sadavamni Nirhitam Samrohayidva Bhava Bhavanohari Nivesayidva Nijaraja Ishvaro Yudhishtiram Prita Manabhabhuvaha.
Suta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaja Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru destiny, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger.
Nisamya bhishmoktam athachutoktam pravritta vijnana vidhuta vibhramaha sasashagamindra ivajitashrayah paridhyupantam anujanuvartitaha.
Maharaja Yudhishthira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Deva and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers.
Kamam vavarša prajajnah sarvakamadugamahi sisichuh sma vrajan gavah payasodhashvatirmuda.
During the reign of Maharaja Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of men in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk.
Nadya samudra girayah savanaspati viruddhah phalanti ushadhaya sarvah kamam anvritu tasya vai.
The rivers, ocean, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion.
Nadhayo vyadhayah klesha deva bhutatmahetavah ajata satrab abhavan jantunam rajnikarhichit.
Because of the kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, disease, or excessive heat or cold.
Very good. So there we can take a little break. Okay, where are you? So Maharaj Yudhishthira's rule, after re-establishing Yudhishthira in Hastinapur, Krishna became pleased. During Yudhishthira's reign, the clouds showered water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities in profuse. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. So there was one farm we went to in Hungary where they look after Gomatas very nicely. And there was one Gomata who was always giving milk. She didn't have any calf or any child, yet she was still profusely giving milk because she was so happy. So this is a really good sign. Usually the cow only gives when the calf is born. But in this situation, the cow was just giving milk, even without having offspring. So this was really very good sign that the cow is very happy. So in the time of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the Gomatas was very, very happy. Everybody was very happy because his rule was so perfect. So she would give milk, moisten the grazing ground with milk. Because the king had no enemies, the people were not disturbed in any way. So next is, we're going to do quite a few verses now. So it looks like Shavi should be back. Are you there? Can we hear you?
Prabhuji, this is Bimal. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. Fantastic.
Right. Yeah, it's just that Shaivi and Purna will probably join late. They've gone out, but
no worries at all. No worries. So maybe Kaushali Maji, you carry on reading.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Usidva Hastinapure masan katipayan hari suhirdam cha vishokaya swasusha priyakamyaya.
Shri Hari, Lord Shri Krishna, resided at Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra.
आमन्त्य चाभ्यनुज्ञान्तः परिष्वजाभिवाद्यताम् आरुरोह रथं कैश्चित् परिस्वक्तोऽभिवादितः.
Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Register by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embarrassed by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tatha Gandhari Drishtarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo Vikrodarascha Dhomyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadayah Nasehire Vimuhyanto Viraham Sarnangadhanvanaha.
At the time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhishma, Dharmanyu, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna.
Good. That's Bhimsen, by the way, not Bhishma. Bhishma has passed away already.
Yes, sorry, Prabhuji.
No, that's okay. That's
Bhimsen.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes, Bhimsen.
Satsangan mukta duhsango hatum nutsahate buddhaha kirtyamanam yaso yasya sakrit akarnya rochanam tasmin yastadhiya partha saheran viraham katham darshana sparsha samlapa Sayanasana bhojanai.
The intelligent who understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him.
Sarve te nimishe rakshais tam anudrutta chetashaha vikshantah sneha sambandha vichelustatra tatraha.
All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity.
Nyarundhan udgalad bashpam Otkantya devaki sute Niryati agaranu bhadram Iti syad bandhavastriyaha.
Oh, we can't hear you, Kaushal Mataji. Maybe connection again is wrong. The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure.
मृदङ्गा शङ्खभैर्यश्च वीणापनवगोमुखा धुन्धुरियानकघण्टाद्या निदुर्दुन्दुभयस्तथा.
While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums like the Madanga, Dola, Nagara, Dunduri, and Dundubi, and flutes of different types, the Veena, Gomukh, and Beri, all sounded together to show him honor.
अभी चाबी किथे है राजा?
प्रासादशिखरारूढः कुरुनार्यो दिदृक्षया वव्रसुः कुसुमै कृष्णं प्रेमवृद्धास्मितेक्षणः.
Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Yeah, good.
सीतातपत्रं जग्राह मुक्तादाम विभूषितं रत्नदण्डं गुदाकेशः प्रियः प्रियतमस्यः.
At that time, Arjun, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took up an umbrella, which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls.
उद्धवः सात्यकिश्चैव व्यजने परमाद्भुते विकीर्यमाणः कुसुमै रेजे मधुपति पतिः पथि.
Uddhav and Satyaki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on scattered flowers, commanded them along the road. Oops, sorry. Okay.
अश्रूयन्तासि सह सत्यास् तत्र तत्र द्विजेरिताः नानुरूपानुरूपाश्च निर्गुणस्य गुणात्मनः.
It was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting, because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being.
अन्योन्यम् आशित् सञ्जल्प उत्तम श्लोक चेतसां कौरवेन्द्र पुरस्त्रीणां सर्वश्रुति मनोहर.
Absorbed in the thought of the transcendent qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roof of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas.
सवैकिलायं पुरुषः पुरातनो यैकाशेद विशेष आत्मनि अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे निमिलितात्मन्निशि सुप्तशक्तिषु.
They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended.
स एव भूयो निजवीर्यचोदितां स्वजीवमायां प्रकृतिं सिसृक्षतिम् अनामरूपात्मनिरूपणामणि विधेत् समानोऽनुससार शास्त्रकृत्.
Personality of Godhead, again, desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcel, the living entities, place them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate.
Sava ayam yat padamatra surayo jitendriya nirjita matarishvanaha pasyanti bhakti utkalitamalaatmana nanvaesha sadvam parimarstum arhati.
Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose form, transcendental form, is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence.
Sava ayam sakhi anugita satkatho vedeshu guhyesu cha guhyavadibihi yaektaisho jagatatmalilaya sarjati avatiyati na tatra sajjati.
Oh, dear friend, here is the very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literature by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, and yet remains unaffected.
Yada hi adharmena tamodhiyo nripa jivanti tatresha hi sadvatah kila dhate bhagam satyamritam dayam yasho bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge.
Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lower modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power to the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Oops. Sorry.
Aho alam slagya tamam yadokulam aho alam punya tamam madhurvanam yadesha pumsam rishabhashriyapati swajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu. How virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood.
Aho bata swarya sasashti rakshkari kushasthali punya yashaskari bhuvaha pasyanti nityam yadanugrahisitam smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha.
Undoubtedly, it's wonderful that Dwaka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles.
Nunam vratasnana hutadineshwaraha samarchito hiyasya grahita panibihi pibanti yah sakhi adharamritam muhu vrajastreya samumuhuryad asayaha.
Oh friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe, to constantly relish how now the nectar of his lips by kissing. The damsels of Brajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors.
यवीर्यशुल्केन अर्हिताः स्वयंवरे प्रमथ्य चैद्यप्रहमुखान् हि सुष्मिनः प्रद्युम्न साम्बाम्बसुतादयो परा याश्चार्हिता भूमवधे सहस्रशः.
The children of these ladies are Padumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvar ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings headed by Shishupal. And other ladies were also forcibly taken by him after he killed Bhaumasura and thousands of his assistants. All these ladies are glorious.
ईताः परं सेद्वम् अपास्तपेसलम् निरस्तशौचं बत साधु कुर्वते यासां गृहात् पुष्करलोचनपते न जाड्वपैत्याहितिभिर्हृदि स्पर्शन्.
All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, this lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making various presentations.
एवं विधा गदन्तीनां सगिरः पुरयोषितां निरीक्षानेनाभिनन्दन् सस्मितेन यो हरि.
While the ladies of the capital Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord, smiling, accepted their good greetings, and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. So this is from Hastinapur, he leaves. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart, the king gave it. This is extraordinary. The Lord is asking for permission from the king. This is etiquette. He's observing the etiquette because he came not as necessarily the Supreme Lord. He came as the son of Nanda, Yashoda, the son of Devaki, of Vasudeva. So he observed the etiquette. So the king at that time was Yudhishthira, and he asked for his permission, and the king gave it. The Lord offered his respects to Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet. Can you imagine this? The Lord was bowing down at the feet of Yudhishthira, and the king embraced him. When the Lord departed from Hastinapur, different types of drums and instruments sounded together to show him honor. All the residents were feeling heartbroken by the thought of imminent separation from Krishna. So this is incredible pastimes of the Lord were also recounted during these few verses about how he pleased the desires of the queens. He would stay, he would not leave them alone. He was always with them, and how fortunate they are to have the association of the Supreme Lord constantly. So this is a wonderful grace by the Supreme Lord. So final few verses.
अजात शत्रुप्रीतानां गोपीठाय मधुद्विषः परेभ्यः संकितः स्नेहात् प्रायुङ्क्त चतुरङ्गिनीम्.
Maharaj Yudhishthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horses, elephant, chariot, and army, to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras, demons. The Maharaj did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord.
atha duragatan sorihi kauravan virahaturan sanivartya dridham snigdhan prayat swanagarim priyai.
Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwarka with his dear companions.
Guru Jangala Panchalan Surasenan Sayamunan Brahmavartam Kurukshetram Matsyan Sarasvatan Atha Marudhanvam Atikramya Sovirabhirayoparan Anartan Bhargavopagach Chantavaho Managvibhuhu.
O Shaunak, the Lord then proceeded towards Kuru Jangala, Panchala, Surasena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Sarasvata, the province of the desert, and the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Sovir, and Abhira provinces. Then west of these, we reached Dwarka at last. Oops, sorry.
Tatra hatatra trir hari pratyudyatarhanaha sayam bheje disham paschat gavishto gam gatastada.
On his journey, oh yes, please. Okay. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. So chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam Puran, first canto, Ki Jai. Thank you very much, Nanda Leela. Beautiful recitation. Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwarka with his companions. After crossing several provinces, he gradually reached Dwarka at last. So this is all wonderful leelas of the Supreme Lord. He had three bases when he came to this world 5,000 years ago: Vrindavan, Mathura, and then Dwarka. So Vrindavan, he spent the first roughly 11 years, and 40 chapters of the 10th canto are dedicated to his pastimes in Vrindavan. And then he spent a little time in Mathura, a few years. And after that, he went to Dwarka, spent some time there. So these are wonderfully recalled by Sutta Goswami to the sages of Nemi Sharanya, to Shonak Rishi. Any questions, any comments? It's quite a short chapter, this one. But anything that you'd like to ask or anything that you'd like to share? Surinder, anything you'd like to share?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, we heard the glories of Lord Shri Krishna, and as the Katha proceeded, it mentioned the ladies on the roof of the buildings.
Yeah.
They were talking about Krishna, and it mentioned that the Krishna Katha, like the talks of the ladies in spiritual gradation, it was, the comparison was made that the Krishna Katha is on a higher level than the Vedic hymns. Yes. So I would like to recite the two verses in glorification of Krishna Katha. Srinvata Shradhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swachestitam Nati Dirghena Kalena Bhagavan Vishate Riddhi. This is from Bhagavatam 284. Swiftly does the Lord enter into the hearts of those who with faith constantly hear and chant the glories of his personality. Nigama kalpataron galitam phalam sukha mukhat amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rashika bhuvi bhavukaha. This is from Bhagavatam 113. This holy scripture, which describes the glories of the Supreme Lord, has descended intact from the wish-fulfilling tree of the Vedas, and it is enhanced by the nectar of the lotus mouth of Sri Sukadev Goswami. O connoisseurs of the mellows of devotion, please constantly relish this fruit, which is the embodiment of those mellows. O devotees blessed with heart's devotion, as long as you are not utterly dissolved in the reality of ecstasy, that is, as long as your hearts are not merged in devotional mellow, then taste the Srimad Bhagavatam in your life in this world as a pure votary of divinity. And even when your hearts are overflooded, you will perpetually continue to drink this supreme nectar divine. Nitai Gaur Haribol Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Thank you.
That's a really good share, actually. Yeah. And it's interesting how Krishna becomes more pleased with the loving sentiments of the devotees than what is the prayers that are given to him in the Vedas. Generally, the Vedas prayers are emanating from Vedvyas, he wrote them, but often they would be in glorification of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Whereas the devotees, they have personal relationships with the Lord, and their glorification is very much more personal to the Supreme Lord. So he likes that. He likes that personal touch. Usually when people worship the Supreme Lord, they want something from him. But when the devotee worships the Supreme Lord with his own bhav, he doesn't want anything from the Lord. He wants to give to the Lord, give seva. And he becomes very attracted by that seva. So this is one of the things which is very interesting about the Lordships. So any questions, anything else? Otherwise we can call it a day today. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Bimal
Hare
here.
Krishna, Bimal.
A small question. The last
Yes.
verse refers about some evening rituals. What are those?
Okay. This is the Lord would do some like in the early morning, he would do the Gayatri mantra at sunrise, and sunset, he will do similar Gayatri mantra. And there may be some other things that he would offer after sunset, but generally it would be the Gayatri mantra. And why does Krishna do the Gayatri mantra? Because the Gayatri mantra ultimately glorifies Srimati Radharani. So Krishna is very much dedicated to Radharani, and Radharani is very much dedicated to Krishna. So he does the Gayatri, and it reminds him of Srimati Radharani.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. We've analyzed this Gayatri mantra in some detail, and it's actually incredible, because the Gayatri mantra, generally people will think this is glorification of Surya Dev, Savita, Surya Dev. But actually the Gayatri mantra is glorification of Srimati Radharani. And the wordings are such that the previous acharyas have analyzed them, showing that they actually are glorification of Srimati Radharani. So Krishna chants this mantra especially when he's in separation from her.
Yeah, interesting.
And if you go to Yamuna, if you go to Vrindavan, Haridwar, you know, they will do arti at sunset to the Ganga, Jamuna.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
sorry?
Yeah, I was thinking of such rituals, but then I
Yeah.
thought those rituals are actually for God. I was not thinking that the God himself would do such rituals, and that too Gayatri mantra. This
Oh
is
yeah,
different.
he does. He does. He follows. Remember, he's not come as the Supreme Lord. He's come as Krishna. He's come as cowherd boy, you know. So he will follow. He will touch the feet of the king Yudhishthira. He would touch the feet of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. The Lord doesn't have to do that, but he does so because he wants to observe the etiquette. He wants to teach society. He wants to teach people how one should live. And he goes to Gurukul. Sandipani Muni, he went for 64 days to learn all the different arts. He doesn't need to do that. He already knows everything. But he does it too, so that it's an example for us. So
That's true. That's true. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question. Very good. Very nice. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.